but it is. Creativity is an addiction. That's why you've got to learn to build a relationship up with it, because you don't need to be waking up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning all frantic or just trying to figure out how you're going to get things done. That's just creativity playing its games on you. Building a relationship means listening to it, building with it on your time and space, not its. Okay? So unplug, because we will always say yes to creativity. Totally uncut, because we all make mistakes. So turn it into a tool. This is Arroe Unplugged. I don't know the exact date that we made a choice of being extremely transparent. I know that it was in 2020. I don't know if it was in March of 2020 or if we were already skating through April of 2020, where it was no longer about reading from the daily writings from 3-4 years ago, reading from my published books and things like that, that we had to really have a conversation with each other about the transitions that are currently taking place, not only in our own state, country, but around the world. And when you see the headlines that we've seen today and been introduced to today, where 200,000 people have been diagnosed with COVID again, we're reaching numbers in the hospitals and on a daily basis, people that are going into their own personal lockdowns, 200,000, and they're predicting that it's going to reach 500,000. We got to have a conversation, because we're starting to see things. I know you are, but the thing is you're probably like me, and it's like you don't want to see what you're really seeing, and so we're trying to push it away. A resting mind is not a lazy heart. Creating space allows the daily drive to find the highway with fewer mirages. Now, openly, I admit, I see things that don't exist, and the first thing I want to do is I want to jump off the cliff and say, yep, I did it. I tried it once. That's all I need to do. Then there are those days when getting an extra hour of sleep seems more important than a daily priority. In front of us right now, with that 200,000 COVID cases reported just Sunday and 500,000 reported cases, they say by midweek, right in front of us, watch how this is putting a huge impact on the mind, body, and souls of every person on this planet. No matter how hard you're trying to push things back, the pandemic is poisoning our process again. Nobody wants to go back into lockdown. Inflation is already bruising our dreams and ambitions. No government check is going to protect us from the cost of what is going through us at this point in time. And the cost is what's inside of you mentally. We must rest our minds, locating a place that's large enough that we can put love, peace, and mindfulness in there. And let me tell you something. If you are mentally unstable or you're feeling challenged with your mental conditions, please contact a professional. Now, you're going to hear a lot of people say that. I mean, Mark Maron talks about it all the time. So does Chelsea Handler. But here's what they're not saying, what people aren't saying, what you're not reading in the newspapers or hearing on the 5 p.m. news. You're reaching out to get mental help from the professionals, but they are so bombarded with people trying to get help that they're not making the phone calls back to you. Now, they'll do something with you on the computer. I'm not against that when it comes to doing it virtually. But my wife brings up a very interesting point. How do you get into a situation where you're doing a virtual conversation with somebody you've never met, somebody that's only on that screen? Face-to-face time is something that is very important to this human being, and that's the reason why I took up an essential job at a grocery store. I needed to be physically with people. But in the world of mental health, they're pushing virtual. When in reality, all you want to do is be with somebody who is physical, to listen, to help rebuild. So I just want you to prepare your heart for a situation like that. And don't stop if they continuously add, well, we can do it virtually. We can do it virtually. We can do it virtually. Keep pushing until you find somebody who is going to be physically in front of you. Hey, it's Arroe. This is The Daily Mess, a chronological walk through an everyday world. I am a daily writer. I don't screw around. We talk about reality on these pages, and we come here and we're going to be transparent. This is not a Debbie Downer. We're just being real. We're being real. And when you read the headlines of 200,000 people diagnosed with COVID-19 just on Sunday, which was 2 days ago, we got to get real again. But I got to believe that I am not the only one. There's no way. Once the vaccine started to flow, I honestly believed, all right, here it is, man, the new normal. I didn't want to wake up to what I woke up to this morning. I didn't want to do that. I mean, these are numbers that we had 12 months ago. 2021 is always going to be remembered as the year that the non-astronauts got to go up in space. They did it with Bezos and the guy from Virgin and stuff like that. They all took people up into space. William Shatner got to go up into space, and Michael Strahan from ABC, the football player, got to go up into space. Man, if I could just be blessed with a conversation, the only question that I want to know is, did you want to come back down to earth to all of this big mess, the pandemic, the streets of America with the crime, the drugs? I wonder if those real people were given something spiritual while they were up there in space. I mean, seriously, Moses came off that mountain with a message. Did any of them come with a message? The first step is that we've got to tell ourselves that we're not the only one. And by creating that path toward community of not being the only one, it's going to help open up the image that we see. The inner circles have got to create belief. I am no professional. I do say again and remind you, go get help. But in the process of getting help, the only thing I can do is suggest, write. Pick up a writing instrument, write. If you don't want to write, then I suggest you go to Spreaker.com or Anchor.fm and get one of these devices where you can just record your voice. You don't have to write it, just record your voice. Get it out some way, somehow. Dr. Dave told me one time, he says, if you don't want to keep it, and if you really do have this fear of people reading what you're writing, then throw it away. Throw it away. What I don't want you to do is throw away your life. There's so many people in front of you that want to get to know you. I'm Arroe, and that's The Daily Mess.